Hi everybody, Zach here for another episode of our flagship program, the Spideydude Experience. This episode is brought to you by our loyal patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Pledge today and get both early access to content on the main channel, as well as entirely exclusive content like brand new shows and commentaries for old Spidey stuff, including commentaries for the MTV series, for example, as well as the video editions for Voices from the Area Gargoyles podcast. And our Patreon first show focused on the Krakoan era of X-Men. We also want to encourage you to check out our other programs that are all available on Audio Edition. These are all over on Spideydude.com, and they're available on your favorite podcasting app. Shows like Clone Saga Chronicles, the show that started this entire network, Spectacular Radio, Spectacular Sal Buscema era podcast, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, the Slot Symposium, and the sister program on this channel, Make Mine Mayday. As always, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help us big time in the algorithm. And additionally, if you have topics you'd like to cover on a live show or in a recorded medium, make sure to leave a comment down below the description or shoot us an email at SpideyDudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Finally, make sure to join our community and be alerted to all new updates by hitting that subscribe button and clicking on the bell. But to be clear, your viewership is more than enough for us. And if you want to hang out with us off YouTube, you can always go to our Discord, where we have all sorts of fun stuff, or you can join us on our social medias and follow us there. All the links are down in the description below. As always, we want to be making some references to visual aids and or live comments. If you're an audio listener, pay that no mind, but leave that 5-star review for us. Any and all feedback we will read on future episodes. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get rolling with this episode of the Spideydude Experience. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode here on the channel. I am joined by Mr. Adam to my immediate right, and below is the man of the hour, Mr. James DeMatteis. Welcome back to the channel.
Happy to be back.
Yes, we really appreciate you taking time to sit down with us. We're going to talk a little bit about some of your most recent works, including this one, Spider-Man 94, which I'm excited to talk to you about, as well as you also have the Omnibus.
Yeah, finally. Let's underline the word "finally" about 50 times, right?
I think we finally spoke this into existence. You know.
Yeah, I think so. And I was really, really happy to see the response too from people when this came out. That there were a lot of people that felt the way that I did. Like, finally, yeah.
Have you seen the Rhino cover?
Yes, I have seen it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was doing my image search through, and I was like, oh, I hope he's seen the Rhino cover, because I have
seen it. Yeah. It's a great. Well, it's Sal. Of course, it's great.
Well, you guys are like peanut butter and jelly. You just worked so well together.
Yeah. I was just talking to somebody about that. You know, the writer-artist chemistry cannot be forced, and it can't be created. It either happens or it doesn't. And I was just lucky that with Sal, something happened and it was just ignited, and off we went, you know, right from the very first issue of this run. Off we went, and it was great.
I love that this omnibus starts with the Soul of the Hunter, because I think that's a criminally underrated.
I was very excited. I didn't realize that was in there. I was very happy to see it. And it's you know, they could have gone whole hog and had Kraven's Last Hunt, Soul of the Hunter straight into Spectacular, because they all really are all of a piece, which would have been kind of fun too. But I'm happy with the way it is. I'm just glad it's out there at last.
Yeah, I mean, this is now. Can we speak into existence your second run, post Clone Saga run?
Oh, okay.
You know,
since we seem to have this magical power, sure, let's do it.
I love both. Look, I've said this before to you. I love both of your Spectacular runs. I just have such nostalgia for it. Adam, I know you were excited about this omnibus. You want to pop in your thoughts?
I'm just happy it's here. It feels like I wrote Marvel a couple times saying, "Can you guys please put this out there?" Like, and that was, I don't know, maybe during the pandemic, maybe or something. I don't know, but
yeah, people had done petitions, all kinds of stuff, and and you know, the funny thing was that I have editions from other countries. Like 3 years ago, in Poland of all places, they put out an omnibus. I have editions of The Child Within from Italy. You know, all kinds of different things. I just actually wrote an introduction for a Hungarian edition of the child within. How's that? I mean, it's
Wow.
amazing, you know. And we
incredible.
forget we're here in our little rooms with our imaginary friends. We forget that this stuff goes all across the world. It's very gratifying, you know, to realize that people are reading this stuff everywhere.
All of it is up on Marvel Unlimited now too.
Oh, that's great.
Everything that's in this omnibus is fully digital on Marvel Unlimited. So
that's fantastic.
If you have a subscription to that, check it out. It's all there.
To me, if you're a Marvel fan, that's probably the most bang for your buck. Especially if you're okay reading digital, outside of going and buying the books themselves. You know, that value is just incredible.
Right. Just, the creators definitely make more money if you buy the book, though, I have to say.
Yes. Read it on Marvel Unlimited, then go buy the book.
That's right. That's right.
That's
because, you know, it's an omnibus, so you can also use it to hold off intruders. There's a lot of things you can do with it.
Yes.
Wonderful.
It's not just a book.
Yeah.
It's a weapon. It's a doorstop. It's all kinds of things. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are chunky. I mean, they are not cheap, but they are high quality.
And every time I get like a new omnibus, and this year there's a lot of my stuff coming out, it's like I have to be moving things around in my office. I've already spilled over into my daughter's former room and using bookshelves in there because they take, if they send a bunch of copies, they take up a lot of space. But I'm happy to have them.
You know, I mean, collecting some of my personal favorites in here is like your Tombstone story that you did with Sal.
That's not mine.
That's Stephen Grant, I think.
That's Stephen Grant.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, I'm leaving now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Zach, you blew it.
I blew it.
Jeez.
It is interesting that Stephen Grant's work is in the omnibus, though.
Well, you know what I think the thinking is, because I know like a couple of months ago there was a David Michelinie, Mark Bagley omnibus that came out that had a bunch of my stories in it because they were Bagley drawn stories. So I think what they're doing is this is also Sal, and Sal continued. So they put in Sal and Stephen Grant stuff, which is nice to have it all there, especially if you're a Sal fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to kind of dovetail into the main part of the episode here with Spider-Man 94, the development was happening around the time you were writing this omnibus, or the stories in the omnibus, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah. By 94, 95, we might have even moved on to the Clone Saga already. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the touches. Now, do you remember the Spider-Man group, that era when you were writing the Clone Saga?
What do you mean the Spider-Man group?
When they had the 5 editors-in-chiefs and they were kind of like all...
Oh, yeah. I remember that. That was a very chaotic period at Marvel. It was a very strange thing when they did that. And they undid it fairly quickly because it really didn't work. It really didn't work. But, the Spider group, that kind of came in, I guess, somewhere during the Clone Saga thing. I remember because Danny Fingeroth was our editor on Spider-Man, and all of a sudden Bob Budiansky was the Spider-Man group editor. It was a crazy time, but we had a lot of fun though. It was a lot of great people working on the books then, and we would have these crazy meetings with the writers every 2 weeks, and then periodically have meetings with all the artists as well. And they were completely out of control and a lot of fun.
Completely out of control. I love that. You have. And they talk about this, I think, in the build up to this release of this issue, but you had written one of the episodes.
Yeah.
Which is actually a pretty substantial episode that you wrote, which was the X-Men crossover episode.
Right. Well, I just contributed to the story on that episode. There was something going on, I remember, in my life at that point where I couldn't complete the episode, so other people finished that off. So I cannot take major credit for that episode. Just to be clear, I don't want to take credit when it's not mine.
Right.
I worked on it, but I did not work on the entirety of it.
One of my questions, and Adam, feel free to jump in, was you guys were you're obviously at that time the writer of Amazing Spider-Man,
right?
During the Clone Saga period. Do you remember the reaction in the office when the animated series came out?
No.
That's okay.
I really don't. It's so funny because I don't. Had I not been asked to write on the show, I don't think I would have known I wasn't watching it at the time or anything. You know, it's sort of like sometimes when you get invited to work on a particular comic book series, and maybe it's not a character that you followed, and then you do your homework and you learn about that character, and then you jump in and you do it that way. And I have to say, you know, now we are all these years later, and I get asked to do this book. I had to do a really deep dive into that show, you know. So I like to watch something when I'm on the treadmill every day. So for like 2 weeks, it was this series, and really, you know,
Nice.
getting, you know, absorbing it and getting the feel of it, and seeing the great work that John Semper did on that show. John, who was a very, very, very nice man, really nice man.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I do want to say that it shows, we just reviewed this book, and one of the pros I had of it was I think you nailed the spirit of the show automatically.
Oh, that's
in the
good.
first
That's
issue.
good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. You know, it's a fine balance, because part of it is, this is not a Spider-Man comic book. We're entering the universe of the Spider-Man animated series. So you need that point of view. And you need to approach the characters as those characters, not the other Spider-Man that I've written. At the same time, you're telling the story in the form of a comic book.
Yeah.
And writing for animation and writing for a comic book, it's two different forms. And each form flows differently and feels differently. And the way you go about it is different. So I had to constantly balance both those things, you know, be true to the show, treat this from a story perspective as if this is a new episode of the show, and yet remember, you're writing a comic book and telling the story in that form and format. And I hope we came close. So
I think you nailed it.
thank you. I appreciate that.
The two of us thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
You know, this was. I think I say this every time that you've been writing a miniseries and we've had you on the show, but it's like one of my most anticipated books every time you're writing a book. I always, you know, run to the shop, not literally, but metaphorically.
Next time, I would appreciate if you would actually run.
You know, it's a couple. You know, it's about 4 miles, so you know, I probably.
Well, that's good, and
Good
you'll sleep
workout.
well that night. You know.
Yeah.
You know, the only problem is it's mostly a freeway, and running on the freeway, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be a problem. That could be a problem.
Yeah, but yeah. Have you seen some of the variant covers, including?
Yeah,
this one?
I've seen. You know, it's so funny because they don't send me the variant covers, so I just see them online, and it seems like there's 150,000 of them out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've never seen that one before.
Okay, so this is this one they did based on like the outro, you know, of the series, and then they also have this one for.
I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah,
so there you
this
go.
one I just found today.
Oh, that's for the second issue. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
That's probably why I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing research trying to gather all the covers, and I was like, hey, they got the Kraven issue or the Kraven cover. The Black Cat cover is a fun one.
Yeah. She's not in the series, by the way, so I don't know what she's doing there, but it's a nice cover.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. No,
You
Black
heard it here first.
and then of course the main cover here too. I for some reason my file uploader, I have like the rest of the covers here, but they weren't wanting to upload because technology is always a bugger. But Greg Land did a cover of issue 1 as well here, which is
I don't think I saw that one either. Boy, there's so many of them out there. I can't believe I thought I saw them all. That's a great cover.
Yeah, it's Greg's, you know, he's a bit of a polarizing artist to some, but that one is one of the covers that I've really liked.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
And then they also have, of the main cover too, they have the clean version without the trade dress.
Oh, the clean version as opposed to the obscene version.
But, yeah, so there's and I do love, like I say, I love the little touches.
Yeah.
Was this your first time working with the artist, Jim?
Yeah. I the great thing about, you know, comics is that you're always discovering new people. I don't mean I went out and discovered him. I mean finding out about them for the first time. Just like, you know, when I did the Ben Reilly series a few years ago, I wasn't familiar with David Baldion. We worked together, fell in love with his work, and brought him over for my DeMultiverse project. And Jim's work I wasn't familiar with, and he's just doing a wonderful job with this series. Really good storyteller. He really can draw. It's really and has an animated flavor, and yet it still works on the comic book page. You know, and that again, that's a fine balance.
Yeah. And although the issue's been out a couple of weeks, we're getting close to issue number 2 dropping. I wanted to kind of get into some specific story elements for issue 1.
Okay. I'm wondering what your first question will be, which is the big question that everyone keeps saying, which is, why didn't you explain what happened to Mary Jane?
Oh
right?
yeah, sure. We can
If you
talk,
want to
talk
answer
about
that
that if
question,
you
I
want.
was going to do that later. I wasn't going to do
Oh,
that.
okay. Might as well get it out of the way.
Let's do it now. Let's do it now.
Actually, when we first started discussing this, that was the plan. And I actually came up with a story, the basis for a story, the basic beats of a story, which I was happy to tell. And for whatever reason, somewhere up the food chain, the decision was made not to tell that story right out of the bat. Maybe it's because they wanted to see if this could succeed, and then we have a second series to do. Because if we do another one, we've got to tell that story, and we will tell that story.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, for whatever reason, and it's actually, in a way, it's kind of cool that we still have this mystery. So she's back. We get to move the story forward, and yet there's still this little mystery of what the heck happened and how did he get her back and where was she and all that. And if we get to use the story that I came up with, it'll be a pretty cool, big cosmic adventure.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. So
I'm cool with that.
Thanks.
I'm fine with that. Look, we've often had, and your expertise, you can kind of maybe give me some credence or not, but we've had debates throughout the network of our various shows about the open ending versus a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've gotten older, I've always viewed the end of the 90s show as more of an open ending where, Peter's off to go find Mary Jane. He finds Mary Jane. Just, you're assuming he finds Mary Jane, right? They could have picked that up if they had gotten a 6th season, but that's the way the story goes. Spectacular Spider-Man infamously had, Norman Osborn be teased, and everybody thinks it's a cliffhanger, but it's really not. It's just, okay, yeah, it's a little tease if there was ever going to be another season.
Right.
And it's an open ending for that reason. Because never say never, right? You could continue it in a comic book form like we've seen with his Gargoyles work, Greg Weisman's Gargoyles work. And here, obviously, this picks up that baton. So to me, what was more interesting was less the MJ stuff, and I love when you write Peter and MJ in general.
So do I. I mean, I love that relationship, and I'm always happy to return to it.
It's really, I mean, that was one of the highlights of the book, not just, because I like the relationship, but I think well, I mean, you're a pro, you've been writing these characters for years, but you just nailed the dynamic, and, they had a great back and forth, and they just both seem true to the characters, like animated series or not. It just seems, it just works really well. I don't know.
Oh, good. Thank you. And it's an interesting situation that Peter finds himself in, right?
Yeah.
He was married to this woman, or he thought he was, but she wasn't. She was a clone that turned into water and melted away.
Yeah.
So he's basically got PTSD over this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, and so here's Mary Jane back, but a part of him is like, is this going to happen to me again? I don't want to get you back to lose you again. And there's got to be some part of his brain that's like, well, what if she's a clone too? I mean, there's so much to wrestle with, and it takes their love for each other to kind of overcome that, and for him to realize, no, this is good. This is a good thing, and I got to put these fears away.
And it's kind of the inverse of what you wrote with Peter and MJ in the Clone Saga too, right? Where MJ's having to come to grips with the fact her husband might be a clone.
Right. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that. But it actually is. Yeah.
Well, I genuinely, I didn't think about it until you were talking about it, and I was like, hey, wait, that's that inverse of what you wrote back in the day.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, 94 Clone Saga, it just all works. We've joked that this book was written for me, because it
was my intention the whole time. I was specifically writing it for you.
But for my definitely my age group, my generation that grew up not only watching the animated series on TV, loving Spider-Man, but then going and reading the books, right? And at the time, the Clone Saga is the big thing, and so the interesting part for me was you introducing characters that obviously you have familiarity with, but like Vermin is got a fun cameo in here,
right?
And then Molten Man, and I had forgotten that he was not included in the 90s show.
No, he wasn't. So it was fun to drop these characters in there, and the trick was, again, it's a fine balance here. these aren't. I have to approach this as if it's an episode of the show, which means if you look what John Semper did, he used all these elements, but he created his own versions of these characters. You know,
Yeah.
they were not the characters necessarily as they existed in the comic books. It was a whole different take. And you know, as long as you're true to the essence of the characters, that's what matters. You know, you can bend and twist Spider-Man, and as we've seen with, you know, the Spider-Verse, in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But you have to remain true to the essence of the character, or else it breaks. So in introducing these new characters, especially the main villains, which were Morlun and Kaine, the idea was, okay, if I'm writing for the animated series, what new, interesting, slightly different things can I do with these characters? And you'll see as the story evolves that they are, but they are not the characters as we knew them in the comics. The backstories are different. You know, the essence is the same, but the backstories are different. And so that was fun to kind of take these characters and twist them and bend them and play with them that way.
Yeah, I was curious about Morlun. And because he's such a more, I say he's a recent creation. He was created in 2002.
Right.
So,
I know. I know.
Or 2001.
Hey, I still think 1995 was like 6 years ago. So, you know.
Yeah.
I'm approaching my, like, next year is going to be my 20th class reunion. And I'm like, oh, wait, it's been 20 years since I was in high school. It just seems like yesterday.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
Yeah. But so what was your, did you have to go back and research Morlun? Did you go back and read those original books? What was your,
you know, my editor, you know, actually it was his idea to bring Morlun in, and I thought, okay, well, send me a bunch of stuff, because I really wasn't that familiar with the character. So they sent me a bunch of stuff, and I read through a ton of Morlun material, and then kind of absorbed all that and came up with my own take on the character within this animated universe. And Kaine, obviously, I know very well, you know, inside and out. And
Right.
But had to do the same thing, you know. So when he steps on the stage, if you're familiar with the comics, you're going to think this is the Kaine from the comics exactly, with the same backstory.
Mhm.
I'm not going to give anything away, but I will say not exactly.
Yeah.
And you'll see that play out in the coming issues.
Is it 4 or 5 issues?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. For some reason, when the first issue came out, the hype from Marvel said 4 issues, and it was always a 5-issue series. It was just a little glitch in the matrix that they said 4.
Okay. All right. So there is 5 issues. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Which gives the story more time to breathe.
Speaking of Morlun, I'd kind of like to hear your opinion on the totem stuff, because I feel like we've kind of talked about this on the show before. I can't remember if we maybe mentioned it in a previous interview with you, but like the totem idea seems, when you think about it, it almost seems rooted in the stuff that you did with Kraven's Last Hunt, and, you know, Peter kind of denouncing being Peter Parker, you know, the I am the spider thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
right, and also if you go back to Kraven's whole thing, he created this entity, the spider, but that was really in Kraven's head. That was his own insanity creating that. But I know what you're saying. There, you can see the seeds there.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, what you think about that, and like, is that, do you think like, oh, this is a good, you know, and you're maybe are you excited to like kind of delve into that with Morlun a little bit?
We are playing with that in the story. We are absolutely playing with that in the story, and I don't want to say too much about it, because we'll see. You know, when it lands in the final issue, it might land someplace a little different than you expect. But the totems are a big part of Morlun's story, not in the same way that they are in the comics, again, but in a way that is unique to this animated universe.
This version of Kraven, because we know via solicitations he's coming.
Right.
Allegedly. Is a much different version of Kraven than what you wrote.
Yeah.
So is it fun to kind of, if there's so much familiarity with Kraven, but to hear, like, you know, this version of Kraven, who is sort of a hero by the end of the series.
Right. You know, they are not mortal enemies or anything like that. But he's still, you know, he's still a bit of a wild man. we do pick up his story from exactly where it left off. You'll see when he explains his backstory along the way. You know, his relationship with Calypso and the whole thing. It all plays into what's going on with this story, and what's going on with Morlun, and it all ties up together, hopefully very nicely. But it's always fun for me to write Kraven.
Yeah.
Considering I killed him, I've written him a lot since I killed him.
Yeah, you are the definitive Kraven writer. I don't think anybody can claim that title. Speaking of Kraven, did you read the Hunted story that Nick Spencer did?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. So wait. Is that the one with all the clones of Kraven and all that stuff?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I read some of it because because I had to read that for another story that I was writing. Yeah. So that was some research I had to do. I don't know if I read the whole thing, but I read enough of it to get the essence of it.
Yeah, he was Nick Spencer was such a huge fan of yours that he was when he was writing that story, it was kind of to try to craft a story that preserve the integrity of what you did. And I always loved that story. That was one of my favorites from early on in our show when we started doing the show.
So right now in the continuity, that Kraven clone is the Kraven, right? In
Yes.
Spider-Man continuity?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one and only one true Kraven, to use
right, because he killed off all the other clones, right? Wasn't that what the story was? Yeah.
He killed the 87 other clones,
right?
And that's not hyperbole.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm kind of curious because you're obviously watching the show from the perspective of doing the research. Was there certain episodes that stood out to you when you're watching the show, the animated show?
I don't recall specific episodes jumping on because I watched a lot of it in a concentrated amount of time. So it was like getting this massive injection of Spider-Man the Animated Series all at once. In the science fiction movies when they put the helmet on you and all of a sudden you're flooded with all these memories and all this stuff. It was sort of like that. But what I found really fascinating, and John Semper really deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, the Spider-Verse, the seeds of the Spider-Verse are all there in this series.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what inspired everything that came after. He deserves a lot of credit. Well, he deserves a lot of credit for the whole show, but certainly for planting the seeds of the Spider-Verse, which has become such a big deal for Marvel in so many ways.
Marvel and Sony.
Right. Exactly.
Adam, I'll let you jump in. You got another question for?
Not really that I can think of, honestly.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, I guess I'll be going now.
So I know there's going to be a lot of twists and turns for this miniseries, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know Black Cat's not going to be in this series.
Who knows who else will be on the covers that won't be in the series?
Okay,
right?
so
who knows who else will not be in the series?
But I was curious because this version of Aunt Anna is so different than what you've written.
Although I think if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while. In my second Spectacular Spider-Man run, the one with Luke Ross, there was a lot of tension between Peter and Aunt Anna in that story as well. She had issues with him, but this Aunt Anna really has issues with him, and we absolutely take a deep dive into that and work through that in the course of these 5 issues as well.
Yeah, I had forgotten genuinely. I had forgotten how caustic she was towards Peter.
Yeah,
until I started rereading the book, and then muscle memory, it just flashed back. I'm like, oh yeah, this version of Aunt Anna really didn't like Peter. Do you get more into not only Aunt Anna? Do you get into more of Aunt May too?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. There's I see there's a lot I could say. I'm not going to say it. There's a very big development with Aunt May, which will echo with some big developments from the comics that I brought into this story.
Ooh.
Okay. I like
it. Gets the gears turning.
And just to be clear, she does not marry Dr. Octopus.
Oh man, that's like the one thing they didn't adapt in that show. That
would have been perfect for that show. It would have fit the tone. I think
it really would have. We were talking about this when we were talking about our review about how the 94 series does a really good job of adapting Jerry Conway to the 80s run of Spider-Man.
And I think Aunt May marriage, that was Len Wein, wasn't it, who married Aunt May off to Dr. Octopus? I'm pretty sure.
No, it was Conway.
It was
but
Conway, really? Oh, I thought
yeah,
it was
it was.
Len.
Well, he comes back in Len's run, and
Oh, is
like
that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
because he's gone after that wedding issue, and then he comes back in Len Wein's run, and they're Aunt May's still very nice to him, and he's still very nice to her, and Peter's like, "What are you doing here?" And anyway.
That's an appropriate reaction, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you have a giant metal armed, even if he wasn't Spider-Man, there would be a series of questions. Why do you have all this tentacled man?
That's right.
He was in full costume too, if I'm remembering
Yes, he
correctly.
was.
When he's
And please be very careful when you hug my aunt with those arms, right?
Please don't crush her to death, because depending on who's drawing her, she looks pretty much to the edge of death.
Yeah. Especially when you go back to the Ditko version. I mean, she looked like she was 90 and she was going to go at any moment.
Yes. I've been doing a read through of Spider-Man from the beginning, and that was something that I was like, yeah, this version of it looks like she really does look like she's going to keel over, and it makes sense when you see like some of the stories, like the Master Planner and stuff like that.
How we went from that to Marissa Tomei is something I'll never quite understand.
And Rosemary Harris, by the way, the other day,
Rosemary Harris was the perfect Aunt May, as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely.
She could have walked, she walked right out of the comics, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, and she just turned 98 years young.
Did she really? Wow.
Yeah, wow. I think it was as of this the day of the recording.
So now she's evolved completely into the Ditko version, right? I don't mean that in a cruel way. I just mean that Ditko's version looked like she could have been in her 90s,
Yes. Yeah. It was like it wasn't Peter's aunt, it was more like his great aunt.
Yeah.
Now I are there, to kind of go back to the omnibus bit for a minute.
Okay.
Is there stories that have not been collected that you would like to see collected? Spider-Man
stories?
Mm-hmm. Of yours.
Or anything, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Let me think of Spider-Man stories. Well, I would love to see my Marvel Team Up run collected. I'd love to see that second spectacular Spider-Man run collected. And are there any miniseries out there? Right. I guess Redemption was collected in one of the Clone Saga omnibuses, I think.
And it was in the trade paperback.
Yeah. I've done so many Spider-Man stories that it's hard to keep. If I look at the length and breadth of my career, a lot of it has been Spider-Man. Between Spider-Man and Justice League things and things I collaborated on with Giffen, it's like that's like 2/3 of everything right there, And I've done a lot of other stuff, but they've done a lot of Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'd like to see it all collected somewhere. It's a nice thing when they do these collections. This year there's been like every month it seems like there's another collection of things I've been waiting to see collected of mine coming out. It started with Dr. Fate, and then this spectacular Spider-Man omnibus, and we've got a new edition of Brooklyn Dreams. We had a new edition of Moonshadow. Scooby Apocalypse omnibus just came out this month. There's a Hero Squared omnibus, which was the one creator-owned project that Giffen and I did together. That'll be out in October, and it's great to see the stuff out there. You want new readers to discover it, and you want the work to stay in print.
Yeah, absolutely,
definitely,
absolutely. I did want to let you touch base on the DeMatteis verse. Or DeMatteis verse.
DeMultiverse.
DeMultiverse.
We got there. It took a while, but we got there. Well, for those that don't know, we started this a couple of years ago on Kickstarter, the DeMultiverse. We launched 5 new series with 5 different artists. And the first Kickstarter went very well. So then we did another one, and we launched all the second issues. And I'm hoping that in the coming year, we will launch all the third issues, because I've got all the stories in my head and ready to go. So it was one of the most exciting and hopefully will continue to be one of the most exciting projects of my career, because first of all, they're all originals. When do you get to launch 5 original series all at once? I mean, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And working with these artists whose work I really, really love, like Sean McManus and Tom Mandrake and David Baldione, and on and on and on. I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but please forgive me, artists that I've forgotten. It was a great project, and very, very proud of it. and I look forward to continuing that. But the first two Kickstarters went very well, very well.
I did also notice that you are starting to do more cons. I know that there was some apprehension.
Yeah, there was a lot of apprehension. Once COVID hit, I was doing a bunch of cons, for years before COVID, and then COVID hit, and obviously we all stopped.
Right.
And I have been really, really cautious about going back. Last year, I got invited to San Diego, and I was like, to be a special guest, and I was, I'm not ready to do this, to hang around for a weekend with 140,000 people, and.
Yeah.
Then they invited me again this year, and I just thought, it had been 20 years since the last time I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and 6 years since I'd done a convention. So I went back this year, and I had a great time. I had a really great time. And so I'm going to continue to test the waters. I'm going to be at GalaxyCon in St. Louis in October.
Okay.
And then in December, my wife and I are going to Brazil for CCXP, which is supposed to be, I think, the biggest convention in the world. Someone described it to me as like 2 or 3 or 4 times the size of San Diego. So if I get through all 3 of these conventions and do not have a nervous breakdown, I will do more conventions next year.
Congratulations on the Inkpot, by the way. That was
thank you. Yeah,
I was at that panel, and
oh, you were?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's great. That's great. That was a fun panel. We had a good time. Yeah.
Adam lives in the San Diego area, so he.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm being outed.
Not that I'm
me
trying
now.
And now, please give everyone his address and his phone number and his social security number.
That's definitely not the way. But no, it's been
not in this day and age for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's been 14 years since I've been to San Diego, so it's almost been the same length of time as you.
Yeah, it was a trip.
It just feels like every year you hear it just gets bigger and bigger. Do you kind of comparing the two?
I made sure to really give myself room to breathe.
Right.
We went on the main floor, where all the craziness is the first night. My daughter and son-in-law came with me, and I said, "Well, that's enough of that." I had 3 panels. 2 signings. I could have had a booth on the floor just like every day and be out there, and I just didn't want to do that. So I went to my 3 panels. I went to my 2 signings. We went out and had some nice meals, saw some friends. It was a real. So I wasn't immersed in the crowds for those 4 or 5 days. That would have been too much for me. So by spacing it out that way, I had a really great time.
Yeah.
Less is more when it
really
comes
well.
to
Yes.
When it comes to Comic-Con, especially now, it's like less is more. Like just kind of make a bit of a plan and try to be flexible, and don't get caught up in the whole spectacle of it too much, and just try to have a good time.
It was nice.
I remember,
and go ahead.
No. I was just saying, I remember my friend Eddie when he found out it was my first con. He goes, it's going to be sensory overload when you get on that convention floor. And
I remember some years ago walking out on that floor after coming back from a panel, like in the middle of the busiest day, and just standing there like a deer in the headlights, like leaning against a column, like, oh my God, what do I do? It can be really overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And, I spend most of my time alone in a room just writing, and I live in a very quiet town. So you plop me down in the middle. I see, I saw more people in 4 days than I may see in 6 months otherwise,
Yeah. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that, I did these 2 signings, and this is what I really enjoy about these conventions, because the people that come that want to get their books signed and want to talk to you are people that read and really appreciate the books and appreciate the stories. And they are very sincere and very heartfelt. And it's a really wonderful thing to connect with the people that care about the work that you've done, It's often really very seriously, very moving to have these interchanges with people. And so I think I enjoyed that more than anything. It was just, having these people come up, signing their books and just chatting with them. It's a great thing.
Yeah, I saw John Romita Jr. about a year ago. He came to my town, and they had a real small convention. And I had asked him and Tom DeFalco too, what do you think? And they're like, we love these smaller cons for that exact reason, because you get that little bit more time to interact with those fans. And it's not, rush like way it is at like the bigger conventions. So
yeah.
you know, I can absolutely see the value of that time, because that's what I know, that's the part that I feel, you know, we get to get a chance to truly, outside of like this format where we personally get to thank you for your work. You know, you get to have that. So I know that's appreciative. So,
Yeah, it's great. I really do appreciate it.
you know, now, so you've mentioned the upcoming work, right?
Yeah.
Is there any other things that you can tease and or plug?
What can I tease? I could tease that it should be coming back soon. Batman Cape Crusader, the animated show on Amazon,
yeah.
should be coming back soon. I have an episode for the upcoming second season. I just finished a new novel called Dark Future, which should be out, I hope, by either late this year, early next year. It's sort of a metaphysical time travel tale. I'm trying to think. I got this. I know there's more stuff. But I can't think. But those three things are enough for now. And we will be continuing with the DeMultiverse, and hopefully I'll be starting a new book soon as well. So,
what's the plan for the DeMultiverse stuff? Like the like issue count wise, what's the ballpark for
what
that?
I'm seeing is 4-issue
Okay.
miniseries for each of these books, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the story.
Sure.
That'd be the end of the first story, because almost all of these stories are very big, much bigger than even what you can tell from the first 2 issues. You know,
Okay.
they just kind of get exponentially bigger as they go along. So what I would love in an ideal world, and who knows, you know, all we can do is give it our best shot. We may not be able to finish it, or maybe we'll get to do, you know, 5 different miniseries as we go along. But I could see a series of miniseries to finish the big story of each of them, you know.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss not to ask about your relationship with Danny, who is the editor on the book and has done all your books.
Oh, Danny's great. Yeah, I've worked with him on every single one of these, and he kind of fits the demographic that you were talking about for yourself.
Yeah.
He is of that era. He is of the animated series and the Clone Saga and all that. So he knows more about this stuff that I've done than I do. You know, so a lot of times I'll have questions, and I don't need to go look it up. I can just ask him, and he knows. You know, just as there's that magical chemistry between writer and artist, you know, you want to have a great chemistry with your editor too. And Danny and I, same thing. From the first time we got on the phone and talked to each other, we just hit it off right away. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with him on each of these series. And I look for, basically, when he calls up, to discuss what's the next one going to be, you know, part of me is just ready to say yes, no matter what it is, just because I really enjoy working with him. And that's, that's part of this process. You want to enjoy the people that you work with. And so to have an editor like Danny, who I really, really appreciate and enjoy and respect as an editor, it's a great thing. It's a great thing.
Fantastic. Because I read his letter at the end of issue 1, and I was like, yeah, it's me. Hi.
Yeah.
Just definitely. The way you described yourself is exactly right on the money for
you know
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see somebody that's in that position to be around my age group now. You know.
Yeah.
Because we don't realize that we're almost 40, right? Our age group is almost 40. And so we are old enough to be professionals, but it's still like one of those cool things where you're like, oh, hey, yeah, that's cool.
Right. The grown-ups are my age, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We all walk around and we all still think we're, 15 or whatever, but we're
pretty much.
We're grown-ups,
Yeah, I'm looking for the adultery, like when somebody asks for an adult, I'm like looking around like, where is the adult? And then
I see. When you said adultery, I didn't know where you were going. Okay.
Yeah, I stumbled on the words. I'm not as good of a wordsmith as you, my sir.
What Tom DeFalco's got his great line when he says he speaks in the first draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've heard him say that. He's actually said that because I would bring him and Ron Friends on, and it's just like those two, are like their hive mind. Talk
Yeah,
about
they really are.
mystery.
Tom is a good buddy. We've been friends for years and years. And he is just one of my favorite people in comics.
He's such a sweetheart too.
Yeah,
and that's
he's just a good person.
yeah, genuinely. And he's
My wife is an interfaith minister and also a chaplain. She married Tom and his wife Hildy. She did the ceremony. Yeah.
oh wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
There's your comic book trivia for today.
Yeah.
So I got to get going soon. So do we have a couple final questions to wrap up, or?
Yeah. We can wrap it up here.
I'm happy to have a couple more questions, and then I'll, that's
yeah,
fine.
absolutely. I've kind of more or less exhausted most of my questions.
Oh, okay.
I did want to ask, because I had this as a question about the when I mentioned the mutant agenda. But have you seen X-Men 97, the continuation?
And I have to tell you, I did not watch the old X-Men animated series, but I heard good things about this, and that was, like I said, I'm always looking for what to watch on the treadmill, and I thought it was fantastic. I was really impressed with it. I thought they did a really, really great job. It was really smart. The animation was really excellent. Everything, voice acting, everything. It was a really, really, really good show. Really good show.
Well, Adam, you got any final questions for Mr. DeMatteis?
No, just honestly, I appreciate you being here talking with us.
Yeah, it's always fun.
It's always a pleasure. I'm hoping Danny, get him to write another book. Now, are all the scripts done for this miniseries?
Yeah, well, we work a Marvel style, which is plot first, which means I write a very, very detailed plot. I get the art, and so I think I have one more issue to dialogue, but all the plots, are all complete. So the story is all out there and structured and ready to go. Fantastic. So one more issue to dialogue, and then I'm done, and then hopefully we'll move on to another one.
Yeah. Absolutely. And when you do have another miniseries, we will shoot you the email and invite you back on. It's always so fun to have you on, and it truly is always a pleasure. And I sincerely appreciate you being on the show.
Oh, well, thank you. I always enjoy it. So don't ever hesitate to ask me to come back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll get to the outro right now.
As always, we got to thank our Patreon subscribers as we get out of here. I'm going to start with our sensational tier patrons. We've got Casey, Cindy, David, Doug, Ed, Eric, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessa, Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Lump Moose, Master Drammond, Phoenician, RJ, Ricochet Kid, Vanessa, and Vicky. Thank you guys for your support over on the Patreon page, patreon.com/Spideydude Network. We also have our $15 and $25 and up tiers, so I want to give them shout outs. We've got Tara, who is our one $15 spectacular patron, Eric, Vinkman, and Walter. Thank you guys for your support over there on the Patreon page, patreon.com/Spideydude Network. As always, we really do appreciate all of our Patreon subscribers. We even have our own free tier of Patreon, so you can go over to patreon.com, join for free, or you can try out the paid tiers for 7 days and see if you like it. Starting at $1 and up, you get shout outs on the audio side for $1 and up. $5 and up, you get these visual and audio shout outs as well. So we really do appreciate everybody's participation on this. We are going to continue to grow the Patreon. We're going to have more to come on the Patreon. You get behind the scenes stuff. You get the video version of Voices from the Eerie, a Gargoyles podcast, and you also get exclusive things like Books of X, the commentaries for the different animated shows like the MTV series and Spider-Man Unlimited. So we got more to come. Really do appreciate everybody participating on the Patreon page. And of course, if you have not already, go check out our fine shows here on the channel. You've got shows like Make My Mayday, this show, Spideydude Experience, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, Sal Buscema Era Podcast. You've got the Vault series, which is Clone Saga Chronicles, and Spectacular Radio, and of course, Voices from the Eerie, a Gargoyles podcast. Thank you guys for your support over the years. We are now celebrating our 5th anniversary, and though a week after this comes out, we're going to be coming to you live on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitter/X. So join us then. We do appreciate you. And without further ado, we'll see you next time here over on the Spideydude Radio Network.